The Vegas Golden Knights are one win away from their first ever Stanley Cup championship. Chris Gawlik of Locked On VGK joins us to talk about how they got there and what they have to do to finish off the win.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here. Welcome to the Locked On NHL Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. And we are now available on SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search for Locked On NHL. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the co-host of Locked On VGK, Chris Gawlik. And Chris, big win Saturday night, and now one win away from the franchise's first ever Stanley Cup. Tight game. What was the key to the victory for Vegas in Game 4?
Vegas scored early and often, and they rode the lead, I guess, all the way to the end. Again, credit Florida. I mean, I want to definitely make it seem like there's a huge gap in talent in these two teams. So there's really not that big of a gap. Florida battled back. It was fun, exciting, but Vegas got on the board early, and I felt they would have a game similar to Game 6 against Dallas, where they just kind of ran over the Dallas Stars. They beat them 6-0 that game. I didn't think we were going to win 6-0 or anything like that, but I felt this game was going to have a bigger differential than it did, and I was feeling pretty good about my prediction early on, and then obviously Florida battled back. So credit Florida for hanging out. They're certainly a worthy opponent, but the reality is our Vegas Golden Knights are one win away right now.
Chandler Stevenson coming up big, a pair of goals, and certainly 2 assists from Mark Stone. Talk about that duo and what they did so well.
Yeah, so that line, I mean, that is our technically de facto line 3, so to speak. So the depth has been on display of the Vegas Golden Knights roster since the opening game of the playoffs. And going back to the opening game of the playoffs against Winnipeg, it was Mark Stone's first game back in quite some time. And the fans were flipping out because Winnipeg wiped the floor with us that first game. They crushed us. And Mark Stone didn't look himself. Everyone was, chirping Stone should be out and on the bench, needs to heal more and everything. And then you fast forward, I mean, Mark Stone, he hasn't been as loud as what Aiden Hill's doing or what Marchessault or even William Karlsson has been doing. But Mark Stone is, I mean, if Mark Stone was unable to return for this playoff run, you and I aren't talking about a potential Stanley Cup victory for the Vegas Golden Knights. And I was just kind of laughing at myself. I was going to tweet something, and I never did. But, where's Chandler Stevenson been this series? Well, we found him. Yeah. So it's a new player every night stepping up to, not even carry the mail, so to speak. Just it's their time, and they find a way. And, you can blindfold yourself and put 18 ping pong balls into a bag and draw a couple. That's as good as your guess is going to be as who possibly is going to be one to step up for Game 5 on Tuesday.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about 2 guys who don't get a lot of headlines who had strong games in Game 4, and those are defensemen Nicholas Hague and Zach Whitecloud, both of them a +3 in this game.
I think they were both a -3, or at least Whitecloud was a -3 in the prior game. And Nick Hague actually had a gem of a chirp in the post game. So Dan Duva and Gary Lawless were running the post game afterwards, and they asked, of course, start off with how are you doing, and Nick Hague just like, great, but it was kind of coy or whatever. And Duva mentioned they had a real strong game, and then right away, like, Nick Hague comes in. Yeah, I figured you guys are probably riding me pretty hard after having a -3 the game before, and so I thought that was certainly interesting. But yeah, I mean, that defensive pairing as our third defensive unit. This is probably the third time I've said this also. A lot of threes in there. This is not a third defensive pairing on probably 70% of the other NHL teams. They're not going to score a lot of goals, and neither one of them is a big goal scorer. They can score goals, but that's not their job. But they are certainly a great pair of shutdown defensemen. And again, back to the depth this team currently has.
Yeah, no question. And one other thing, Aiden Hill doesn't look like he's going to wake up anytime soon and revert back to form. I mean, he just continues to play extremely well.
It's crazy what Aiden Hill is doing right now, and maybe I'm I don't want to say it like that. I was going to say something in Cheerios this morning. I'm not going to say it like that, but you almost wonder if Aiden Hill is going to go down the Jordan Binnington route, and I mean that as, first of all, a term of endearment. Jordan Binnington is a Stanley Cup champion. Since that time, we've seen a different version of him, so I can't help but to hope that doesn't happen with Aiden Hill. And no disrespect to Binnington, but he's not been the same since winning the cup. But back to the positive side of Aiden Hill, I mean, the swagger, the coming into his own. This is not a side of him that, and I don't even mean just because he's out there punching everything that moves, but just the swagger that he has, how calm and relaxed he is. It was fun when I was talking with him on the media day. We had a very light moment with one another. He's like, I've never been around this much media before. And I looked at him and said, neither have I. And, I got a very genuine smile out of him, and he's so down to earth and relaxed. This moment is not too big for him. I think that's the most important thing. And he's finding a way to enjoy it. And that's obviously one of the key differences as to why the Vegas Golden Knights are one win away from the Stanley Cup.
The game ended in physical fashion, to put it lightly. Your thoughts about the rough stuff at the end of the game?
I actually got the penalties here. So at the end of the game, let's see, Tkachuk gets a slash, Tkachuk gets an unsportsmanlike, Tkachuk gets a 10 minutes. So there's 14 more penalty minutes. I think he's up to 4 misconducts this series. I got to think that's a record. I could be wrong. That feels like a record. And then Aiden Hill got 2 for an unsportsmanlike. Brandon Montour got 2 for a charge, which started that whole thing. And Montour got a misconduct. And, you felt the boil over coming. You knew it was going to happen. And listen, it's a Stanley Cup. These two teams don't like each other. And Florida certainly has had this kind of agitating bully thing happening throughout the playoffs. And I'm not knocking him for that. I actually love the brand of hockey that the Florida Panthers play. But they do lack poise. And even though last night there was only 2 penalties called in regulation, Pietrangelo got the delay game in a wonderful time, last 14 seconds of the game. That was amazing to see. And then there was a trip early on in the game. I think Mark Stone went down, and the refs missed a terrible slash by Mark Stone. That should have been a 4-on-4 situation. But, you saw Florida going back to they stayed away from this in game 3, right? They didn't get too crazy behind the whistle and stuff like that. And you saw the old version of the Panthers come out in game 4, and you knew this was going to happen, in the end of the game as well.
So what's the key? One more win. What has to happen for Vegas to close out this series at home in game 5?
I mean, you look at, I got a tweet lined up here. I was looking for that. So you look at the 2 home games. It was 5-2 and 7-2. The home ice advantage has been the equalizer somewhat. Both games in Florida, absolutely razor thin. If Vegas doesn't let Florida score in the last minute of the game, we're talking about a Stanley Cup, game-winning 4 right now. So Vegas just has to stay in the moment, stay calm. They all know the Stanley Cup's going to be in the building. It's been in the building the whole time, but it's really going to be in the building now, so to speak, because the Stanley Cup themselves tweeted they're going to be in the building. So I know the Stanley Cup could tweet, but that's pretty cool. But definitely stay in the moment, stay relaxed. Aiden Hill said it, best. You can't not think about what's at stake, but at the end of the day, it's still one shift at a time. And again, back to the Nick Haga soundbite last night. I think it was Duva or Lawless. They said you are 1 win away from being a Stanley Cup champion. How does that make you feel? And Nick Hague tried to give the canned response. Not going to think about that. We gotta win another game. And then about 4 seconds goes by, but it does give me chills. And really fast, I dug up this nugget last night. So this is coming up for Tuesday night, June 13th. It would have been 2,548 days, 3,600,069 minutes, 220,147 seconds since the city of Las Vegas was awarded an NHL franchise. And then now they got a shot to possibly clinch their first Stanley Cup on home ice this Tuesday, June 13th.
Should be exciting. I know you'll be there every step of the way. Chris, tell us where they can find the podcast and where they can find you on social media.
Podcast, same place you can find Locked On NHL and Locked On Islanders and Locked On everything else, anywhere you get your podcasts. Check out the YouTube, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. We're really pushing hard to get to our 1,000 subscribers. We are so very close. We'd love your interactions there. I am at TD Chris G on Twitter. That's like touchdown TD Chris G. And yes, I will be in the building for Game 5 as a fan, enjoying every second, win, lose, or well, not going to be a draw, win or lose.
All right, Chris. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by a product I literally use every day, AG1 by Athletic Greens. Maybe you're like me, you want to be healthy and eat well, but it's easier said than done. Well, with one delicious scoop of AG1 in a glass of water each day, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all these things. And look, AG1 costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, but it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Just go to athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.